of dealing with long-term relationships and why there seems to be a tendency of those relationships failing right now. And the failure of those relationships is actually documented. It's actually proven. When you look up the stats of who are getting divorced and why they're getting divorced, what they're finding is that individuals 50 and above are getting divorced more than any other group. And so these are couples that have been together for extended periods of time. Over a period of time, some things happen. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight. And I'm going to talk about, of course, there's three main reasons as to why these failures happen, and they happen according to or based upon finance. There's always generally some type of money issue, or then there's also another issue could be the communication, and then the third issue is some kind of infidelity or betrayals that have taken place, which is a big part of why these relationships are failing. And so again, I'm going to share with you some of this information because I believe that it'll make a tremendous difference for anybody that's going to watch and that's going to listen. Today, I'm doing video 7. I've already done 6 videos where I'm explaining a lot of different areas that you should monitor and you should kind of watch if you're in a relationship, and especially if it's been a long-term relationship, because you're not out of you're not in that safe zone, which I thought I was. But and so tonight I'm going to talk about boundaries with in-laws, setting healthy boundaries with in-laws, which is important. And partially why it's important because in the last class I taught, on lesson 6, I dealt with a lot of the conflicts and the way that we resolve conflicts, and how that a lot of conflicts are as a result of those people that are closest to us and that are around our lives. Because and I'm saying according to this is my story. What I found is that there were people around that were saying and doing things that were that were their goal was to destroy my relationship. And so I'll say anybody's relationship. Their goal is to destroy any relationship. And so part of that is if you're the type of person that you're not really you don't really look at the worst in people, and you don't come from a place of always trying to have an agenda that you're trying to harm someone or do something against someone, then you're gonna probably overlook certain things because you're gonna make an excuse or reason as to why they're doing what they're doing. And that's part of what I did. I made excuses as to why people were doing certain things, and because most people around you, they know what's going on in your life even when you don't know, because you're focused on doing the right thing. Generally, you're focused on working, taking care of your family, and doing the things you're supposed to do. And so again, it's 3 areas generally that are affected: your finance, your communication, and infidelity. In video 1, I talked about communication in detail. I'm going to suggest you to go back and watch that video. I have those videos already up. I posted another one last night because I haven't been able to. Hey, good evening, Lataya. I posted another one last night of a previous, I think it was lesson 6 I posted last night. I just got to go back in here and edit it tonight. But and so tonight I'm going to talk about unhealthy the boundaries in making sure that we have boundaries when we're dealing with in-laws and people that are around our lives, because I believe that any person that wants to have a successful relationship they have to guard and have to protect what they have. And that's both parties. It can't be one person. They both have to be committed. Both people that are in a relationship have to be committed to protecting what they have. And sometimes that protection represents that you have to say no to family. And you have to say no and kind of cut people off and get away from other people. And sometimes it is important that family is around. I'm not saying that the statements that I say are not absolutes. And so what I mean by that is that I'm not saying this concerning every person or every relationship, because all in-laws are not the same. All relationships are not the same. All people in relationships are not the same. But part of this whole thing is when you're dating this person that you're meeting, you have to actually get a really good, clear understanding of their relationship with their people, what is their relationship like with their mother. If he's a man, what is his relationship like with his mother? Is it a healthy relationship, or is it some narcissistic, crazy relationship? And that's important. You got to know what is the boundary. I mean, are there boundaries in the relationship? Is this person going to be more dedicated to their mother than they are to you? because when there's interference on the outside, that brings anything that comes in from the outside is going to bring some level of confusion and division. It's going to pull the relationship apart because you're going to be taking the word of another person or confiding in them and believing in them and doing what they want. And in the process of doing that, you're not going to be hearing and seeing and making the person that you're with feel important, making them feel significant. And so the first thing is boundaries. You have to have certain boundaries in your life and in your relationships concerning your in-laws and concerning other people outside of your relationship. And so that could look like not allowing other people to interfere in your decisions. There's even television shows where you can see where there'll be a mother-in-law or someone that's interfering in the decisions that is being made in that house or in that family. And the problem with that is that the person that married the daughter or married the person didn't marry the mother. They married the daughter. They married the person that should be grown enough to make their own decisions. And so when you're bringing other opinions in, it causes divisions, causes confusion, and I know that what I'm talking to you about, I know from personal experience, because when you find out that people that should be, confiding in you and talking to you and saying certain things to you and, being open and honest, but they're not doing that, but they're having conversations with other people. And, and these other people were giving them terrible advice because these other people were very, very jealous of them because of their own lives. This is why even your friends, not only your in-laws, but your friends, what people do you have around your life? And the advice that they give, are they people giving you advice that's for your benefit, that's for your betterment, that's for your good? That's something to help you and to progress you. So healthy boundaries is important. Boundaries are simple. You need to know what you're going to put up with and what you're not going to put up with, and you need to have strict, clear boundaries. And so when I was talking about boys or even women, you gotta see her relationship with her father. If she doesn't have a relationship with her father, a healthy one, if she don't really love her father, I wouldn't take the risk. I would not take the risk because I just found that a lot of times if a woman doesn't have a healthy relationship with her father, and this is my experience, she's not going to trust you, or she's not going to have confidence in you, and she's not going to be someone that's probably even be loyal to you because she doesn't know what it is for a man to be loyal to her. And same thing on the opposite side with a man with a woman. If he doesn't know how to treat his mom in a respectful mannerism, and love her, but still have even boundaries. Because if you love someone, you should have boundaries with them. There's certain things you should tell your mom. You're not going to do that. You're not going to come in my house and disrespect my wife based upon her not doing something the way you do it. This is part of what I'm trying to say. If you're not willing to have the tough conversations, there's going to be bitterness that's going to be caused in that relationship based upon not addressing things because they're your mom or your dad. It's not, unless mom and dad, even if they're that first of all, they shouldn't be footing the bill. But the bottom line is, this is your house. That's why we're told to leave mother and father and leave everybody else and cleave to your person. That's why the dating process is one of the most important processes, because you got to make sure that the person that you're meeting is a good person, and they're not just a good person temporarily, but they're generally a good person, that their heart is in the right place, that they're not just saying certain things with their mouth, but their actions are backing up their words, and they mean what they're saying, and they're saying what they're meaning. And second thing is unhealthy interference, like I talked about. Are they interfering? Are they putting their 2 cents in something that you didn't ask them for? Again, all of these things will bring that resentment that I talked about in video 1. It's going to bring the bitterness. It's going to bring all of the resentment. It's going to bring all of the things which is going to not allow that relationship to grow and to get stronger because of all the interference. And it might not even be done. Some people do things just because it's the way they are, but some might not even be doing it from a spiteful or having a bad agenda, but because they are doing it, because they are overstepping a boundary. This is what we're talking about tonight. They're overstepping a boundary. Because they're overstepping a boundary, and then you're the man telling your woman, look, your parents need to so and so forth, or you're going to tell your man, your parents need to such and such and such, and you're telling them, your person, what is going on and what they need to do, because they're sitting there seeing it, but then they're hearing what you're saying, but they're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to address it. They're going to leave it the situation the way it is. And in the process of doing that, you are hurting your person, the one that you say that you love. And when you're hurting that person, they will end up getting bitter. The resentment will come, the loathing will come, the disdain, all those things are going to come. And when it gets to that certain point, the relationship is over. This is why outside influence is a dangerous game. The third thing would be gossip. There's some people that's part of their that's part of their makeup, is that they gossip about everything. That's part of the reason why I don't hang out with a lot of the people in on one. I'll say in my family, because there's a lot of gossip and everything that's going on. There's certain people that consider themselves leaders, and all they do is gossip about everything. They gossip about, oh, this person's breaking up, and this person's doing this, and everything is this person. Everything's is a highlight reel of the bad that's going on in other people's lives, and this is why they're connected with people. This is why I don't connect with a lot of people on social unless it's geared towards business and and bettering myself and getting around environments where things can change and shift and become better. But if you're around a bunch of gossip and a bunch of people talking about what somebody else should be doing and what's going on in other people's lives, those are people. Understand that our words have power. You are sowing things in other people's lives. Do you want those same things done to you? Our words have power. There's life and death in the power of our tongue. When you look at the 6 things that the Most High hated in Proverbs, Psalms, I believe there's a Proverbs, I think 3 or 4 out of those 6 things have something to do with the way we talk. That's how important our speech is. This is why you can't allow everybody else to plant in your mind what your relationship is going to look like. Your relationship is going to look like what you and the person that you decided to join in union and become one are deciding to make it look like. Not what someone else is telling you what it should look like. What they're experiencing and what they're going through and what it looks like for them is their life and their experience. It's not your life. And so stop accepting everything that someone else is saying. And then the fourth thing, and I'm going to end this video here, is that it's just no longer they don't support your decisions. And by not supporting the decisions, many times those in-laws will not only not support them, but they'll be vocal about the non-support and how that's a dumb decision. And now, again, it goes back to the third thing. And then this is where the gossip comes in, because she'll tell somebody else who will tell another one of your other siblings, and you'll hear it from this other person and all this stuff. And all it does is just keep a bunch of mess going on instead of healing. Because healing has to start with you, but then it has to start with your family, your group, those that are closest to you. That those people that your blood, hopefully there could be some level of cohesion where there can be a healing to take place. But healing cannot take place where there's a bunch of gossip, where people are spreading a bunch of mess and keeping stuff stirred up. Instead of lifting people up, you're pulling people down by words and by speech and because they're not doing it the way that you do it. I had one of my sisters come over to my house when I first got married. And this just popped in my mind as I'm sitting here, and she was running her mouth, and she's like, "Oh, this ain't the way mommy does this." And me, because of the way I am, I told her, I said, "Yo, you are out of order." I said, first of all, I'm not married to mommy, and I said, second of all, the way mommy does something has nothing to do with what is being done in my house. This is the way we're running our house. And so this is kind of what I'm telling you. You have to be the type of person that is strong enough to set boundaries. And so she didn't like what I said, but I didn't care. I didn't like what she said. It don't matter. What is more important? The you keeping a unity and oneness with your person, or worrying about what your sibling or somebody else thinks? What is more important? This is why there's so much divide in these relationships, because there's too much confusion, too much, all these extra voices, all these extra opinions. All these opinions, but don't have anything to do with the outcome of if it's a bad decision or a good decision. So that's all I want to share with y'all. Plus, I want to try out this new mic to see how it sounds when I do the video, because I don't like the sound of my video. So I'm testing some mics and I'm doing some things. I got a lot of things that I'm working on right now. And so my schedule is changing. But I'll see what I don't have a set schedule right now. And so as soon as I do, I'll let y'all know. because eventually what I'm doing here, I'm going to turn this into a podcast, not a podcast like I'm trying to build a big, I'm not interested in that, but I want to take the vocals off of what I'm doing on a lot of these videos. This is part of why I need to get a mic and move it over to a podcast where not only am I doing stuff visually, I can take it right here on YouTube and turn it into a vocal podcast where somebody can listen to while they're doing their daily activities. And I got a lot of stuff I'm working on. But I appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. Thank you, Lataya, for being in here. Thank you, each and every person that tunes in and likes and shares and that's part of the community. But I do have some opportunities where I'm going to be opening up some things to people. I did this a while back where I was running a webinar, but I got something else that I'm about to start. And I'm in the working stages of that. And so, which is a lot more cost effective. That's what I'll say. But if you have any questions in my end here, basically what we're talking about tonight is, long-term relationships and part of the failure of them. And when you go back and you watch video 1 through 6, because this would be video 7, each one deals with just different areas, and each area that each of the 7 areas is highlighted and kind of magnified, where you can actually take your time and look at the areas and see things that can change and shift in your life where you can get the result that you want. Again, my name is Arnold Austin, and I am the coach. Appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank each and every one of you